All right, thank you all for joining us for the GRA Grad School Prep Overview of the Graduate School Application Process Workshop. Joining us today is Lori Filippo, Assistant Director of Recruitment. They will be guiding us through the process of identifying potential graduate programs, investigating deadlines, building an application, letters of recommendation, and so much more. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and hand it over to them to get us started.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Joshua. So welcome everyone. My name is, as Joshua mentioned, Lori Filippo. I am the Assistant Director of Grad Recruitment. So yeah, we're going to touch on how to select a program and really dive deeper into the application process for grad school. Next slide. Okay, so first, of course, we want to start with how do you even select what grad program to go into? Next slide. So at UNLV, maybe you've started to do some research, maybe you already know what program you want to go into, or maybe you're just not really sure, what program do I need for the career I want to go for? So we have over 175 degree programs with the grad school. We also have over 40 certificate programs. We also have the professional schools at UNLV. So it's a lot. So we want you to start thinking first with the outcome. What is the career that you want to go for? Maybe you're already in that career, and then you maybe want to move up and keep going on with that particular career. Think about what makes you happy, creative. What kind of degree then do you need for that particular career? So again, if you are in the field already, maybe you're interning, maybe you're working with someone, talk to that individual and say, hey, I'm really interested in pursuing this career. What did you have to do to get into this field? What kind of degree did you need? Also, think beyond your bachelor's degree. Just because you received your bachelor's degree in one field doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay with that for your master's and your PhD. For example, I actually received my bachelor's degree in business administration. And at first you think, okay, so the next step would be to go get your MBA, your master's in business administration. But I didn't want to stick with the business field. My goal was actually to work in higher education. So then I thought, okay, it makes sense. I need to go get my master's in higher ed. However, after speaking with people that were already in the field, and because I've worked in the field before, they actually told me that I should go for my master's in public administration to know more about the government and the politics side and be able to kind of move up to a director level in there. So it's always good to do outreach, contact those that are already in the field, reach out to the advisors, the graduate coordinators. But again, you can always think beyond your bachelor's degree. You don't have to stay in the same field that you received your bachelor's in for your master's or even your PhD. If you need help though, or maybe have some questions, you can always reach out to us at Grad Recruitment and we'd be happy to sit down with you and kind of go over these options. So just a few other things is you definitely want to start narrowing down the programs early, right? I mean, 175 degrees is a lot to look at. We don't want you to sit there and go through every single program, see what is required. Is it the best one for you? So this again is really why we want you to start talking to the faculty, reach out to the departments, reach out to students that are already in the field and really figure out, is this the right program that I need for the career path that I want to go for? Also, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, all of our graduate programs do have specific deadlines on when you have to have your application and materials in. So we definitely want you to start narrowing down your program search early so that you have plenty of time to get your application and materials in on time. Okay, so next we're going to touch on is how to apply to actually be a grad rebel at UNLV. Next slide. So with UNLV, the most important thing to know is that your application is going to be reviewed holistically. This means that your whole application package is going to be considered. So not just your GPA, they're also going to look at your statement of intent. If that may be required, they'll look at letters of recommendation. They'll look at if there's any testing, they're going to consider that as well. So for students that might say, hey, my GPA is a little bit lower than the minimum requirement, that's okay. Don't feel discouraged because that's only one part of your application. So once you have met with that graduate coordinator, maybe the advisors, some students, and now you know exactly what degree you want to go for. You would complete the application in the Grad Rebel Gateway. This is going to be your main hub from really start to when you're about to confirm your degree. Once you do your application here, you'll upload all of your required documents. So your transcripts and any departmental requirements will be uploaded to the Grad Rebel Gateway. We only need copies of your documents. We do not require anything official unless you have been accepted into your program. Now, the application fee is non-refundable. It is $95 for international students or $60 for domestic students. And again, make sure you know what your deadline is. Your deadline, is put on by the graduate department for your program. They are pretty picky on when you have to get everything in by, so do not miss your deadline and know what it is for your program. Okay, once you submit your application and your documents, your application is going to be reviewed twice. So the first time it'll get reviewed by the graduate admissions team. What they are going to look for is that you have at least a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution, which you all will have. For your bachelor's degree, they want to see that you have at least a 2.75 GPA. If you fall below the 2.75 GPA, they will look at the last 60 credits that you've completed, and they want to see that you have at least a 3.0. Again, we need transcripts from each post-secondary institution, only need to see copies. Now, with UNLV, you will just need to state that you actually did go to UNLV. You don't need to physically upload any copies of your transcripts. You can if you want, but it's not required. We will go ahead and pull that. So on your application, you just need to state that you went to UNLV, just so the grad team knows we do need to pull that transcript for you. If you attended anywhere before UNLV, maybe you received your associates or you received some credits and then had them transferred to UNLV, we should be able to pull that as well. But if you have any questions on it, of course, reach out to us and we'll help you out with it. Now, the proof of English proficiency, if you are not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, it may show up that you need to show proof of English proficiency. When you graduate from UNLV, we can actually use that UNLV degree in place of the proof of English proficiency. So you won't have to worry about any tests if that is one of your requirements needed on your application. So after the graduate admissions team reviews your application, it will then get reviewed by the department. Now, depending again on the program that you're applying for, will determine what specific requirements are needed. So there could be a personal statement where you're really telling the committee why you would be a good candidate for this program, what are your goals, what do you want to do with this program afterward. They may also require 2 to 3 letters of recommendation. So someone else speaking on behalf of why you would be a good candidate for the program. You may also be required to submit standardized tests. So this would be like your GMAT, your GRE. There could also be a resume, even a portfolio. Some programs, mostly the PhDs, might have an interview process, but it really just depends on the program that you're applying for. If you have any specific questions about the departmental requirements, there is a graduate coordinator that you can reach out to. We have one for every single program. They are there to answer any questions specifically, again, about the departmental requirements. So reach out to them if you do have any questions at all. So I'm going to touch on this again because it is very important with the application deadlines. And this is more detail of why it's so crucial. So application deadlines. With grad school, as mentioned, every single program has a specific deadline on when you have to have your application and materials submitted by. You will notice as you're going through and looking at the deadlines and the programs, there are some programs that only admit once a year. So they may admit only during the fall semesters. Some of our programs have very, very early deadlines too. There's some that only admit in the fall, and their application deadline is January 15th. So if you miss that deadline, now you have to wait until possibly fall of 2025 in order to get your application in and start your program. So make sure you are knowing what your deadline is. And if you have to do a GRE, a GMAT test, if you have to get letters of recommendation or do a statement of intent, you want to give yourself plenty of time to get all of these documents in, do practice exams, if there's any practice tests, letters of recommendation, giving your recommenders plenty of time to be able to write that recommendation for you and submit it to your application. So once you know what your program you want, go to the deadline page right after, see when do you have to get everything in by, what term works best for you, and go ahead and start that application process. And now we have had students that will ask, hey, I'm still currently in my bachelor's degree. I'm not set to graduate until, maybe the end of the spring semester, but I do want to start in the fall. But my deadline is coming up. Can I still apply? Yes. So even if your bachelor's degree is in progress, you still can apply for grad school. What will happen is when you do apply, we will look at the most recent transcript that you have from UNLV. We will go off of that GPA. If you are admitted, you would be admitted conditionally to your program, with the condition being that you have to show confirmation of your degree by a specific date. And again, because it's UNLV, we'll pull that for you. So you don't have to worry about pulling that confirmation of your degree. But this is just to let you know, don't wait. Don't wait for the confirmation to come out that you did graduate, especially if your deadline is about to come up. Okay, so I wanted to dive a little bit deeper on those specific departmental requirements that you may be asked to do. Now, again, this is not going to be required for every single program, but these are the most common ones in what you may be asked for your application. So the first one is personal statements. So on your application, you may notice that you have to write a personal statement, or it might be called a statement of intent. So with these statements, this is your chance to really tell the committee why you would be a good applicant in their program. So some programs are very specific on what they want you to write, how to write it, but these are just some general expectations on to give you an idea and a start of how to write these. Typically it's 1 to 2 pages, double space. So kind of think of your essays and the papers you're doing right now. That's, I would say, the format that you really want to stick with. You will want to try to write to a specific audience. Again, it may be mentioned in your application on who to write the letter to. If it's not, you can always just say Program Graduate Admissions Committee, or you can even reach out to the graduate coordinator for your program and say, hey, is there anyone specific that you want me to address this statement to? Make sure that you're maintaining a professional tone. And then depending on if you're going for a graduate program or a professional, you may want to touch on different things. So if you're going for a graduate degree, you might want to talk about your research interests, and then what will this program do for you in the future? What kind of career goals do you have? Similar with the professional programs, if you're going for law school, medical school, or dental, you may want to talk about the qualifications that you have. Maybe you're interning right now. Maybe you're doing some of the work already. And then again, touching on those career goals. Maybe you're looking to advance in your career. And then for both, what could you bring to the program? So this is just an example of one of the programs and what they ask students. So those who may be interested in the MBA program, this program is very specific on what they want. So you can see here, they do want a personal statement, 1 to 2 pages in length, the double space, 12 font size. And we put in red what they are asking you to do. So they want you to address how the MBA education will assist you in meeting your professional career goals. They want you to include a description of the leadership or managerial attributes you will bring to the program. So this is a good example of the program that is very specific and what it's telling you to touch on in your statement. So what we mentioned is just some topics that you may want to consider addressing. So definitely talking about your career goals. What are those goals? How will this degree help with those specific goals? What are you looking to do after you graduate with this degree? And what kind of work would you want to do? Again, maybe you're already in that field. Maybe this degree will help you move up in that field. Talk about your past work, the academic experience you had, just really what brought you to this program. So some programs are very specific like this, where it'll tell you exactly what they want to see. Others may just say personal statement. If it just says personal statement, I always recommend to reach out to the graduate coordinator for that program and ask them specifically, hey, is there anything specific that you want me to include in my statement of intent? If not, still think about these questions. Career goals. Why did you choose UNLV to go into this degree? But of course, reach out to us if you have any questions, and we're here to help you out with it. So just some tips when you are writing your letter. Make sure to give specific examples. You'll want to write multiple drafts. After you write it, have others edit it. Use family members. With being on UNLV, you can go out to the writing center, go ask them, see if they can just do an edit on it. Make sure you're being honest. Really treat it like an essay. Use the different paragraphs. Don't be too generic on it, and don't rewrite your resume. There are some programs that will actually ask you to submit your resume, so you don't want to just rewrite what you're already going to submit. And then of course, don't make stuff up on it. Okay, the other requirement that is usually needed by a lot of our programs is the letters of recommendation. Okay, so for the letters of recommendation, now this is the chance for others to say, talk about your work ethic, your knowledge in the field, and again, why you would be a good candidate for the program. Programs usually want to see between 2 to 3 letters. They will usually state who they want them from, if it's professional or academia, that they want that specific letter from. Of course, no family members. We love seeing them from mom, but we need to have them from others as well. But it usually will tell you who specifically they want to see these letters from. Okay, so choosing recommenders. For the graduate programs, since they are focusing on research, they may look more for the academic references. So this may be more of your professors. They might ask for someone that's also that you've worked with before. Or I have had students that say, hey, I just don't know who to use for a professor, or I don't have a professor I can use. If that's the case, go ahead and just contact the graduate coordinator for your program. Let them know you're having a hard time finding an academic reference, and they can give you an idea of who you should be contacting. For the professional programs, this is going to be more of those professional references. So they may want to see someone that's straight from that field. If you, again, are working in the field, if you are interning, they usually want to see more of the professional references. They might be able to use some of the academia, but again, it's really going to be up to the graduate coordinator if they are okay with that. So when you're looking at references, recommenders, think of the professors or those that you've worked in the field with, maybe ones that were your mentor. Maybe they supervised you or you worked in a lab with. So think about ones that really you feel can write a good letter for your graduate school application. Also, don't worry if you've been out of school for a while, or maybe you haven't worked with this professor in a while. You can always send them different documents, maybe do a face-to-face with them or a phone call, just to really spark their memory on, oh, okay, yeah, we did do this work together, and here's what they can add on to your letter of recommendation. So when you're asking for letters of recommendation, now this is just an idea, we say definitely reach out. Email is always best. And definitely do it early in the process. So you know what program you want, you know what the deadline is for your program. Now you should start reaching out to those recommenders right away. That way, again, it's giving them plenty of time to write the letter and work with you to figure out, hey, why do you want to go into this program? Send me your statement of intent so I can see what your goals are, and they can kind of go on with that in their letter of recommendation. So In the email, if you write an email to them, definitely start with a professional greeting. If it's been a while since you've worked with them, go ahead and just reintroduce yourself. If you maybe want to meet with them face to face, maybe go ahead and set up that meeting to discuss the recommendation. That way, then too, you can say, hey, here's what I'm looking at doing. I'm applying to grad school. I want to go into, for example, here, the master's in social work. Here's what I want to do with it. Here's my career goals. Talk to them about past work that you've done, for projects that you've worked on together. But definitely make sure you're telling them when the application deadline is and when everything has to be submitted by. Okay, so now I want to touch on, so that's how to get good letters of recommendation. Now, but we want those excellent letters of recommendation. So just some tips to get those excellent letters of recommendation. When you are reaching out to your recommender, send them a copy of your personal statement. Even if it's not completed yet, if it's not final, still send it to them, because again, this is going to let them know, hey, this is why this student is going to be an excellent student in your program. Give them maybe a copy of your paper or project you did with them, just really, again, to jog their memory, and so that they can go ahead and include that in their recommendation for you. Of course, let them know the deadline. And one little tip is that if you are possibly thinking about applying to be a graduate assistant while you're in grad school, you may want to let your recommender know that as well. This way they can say, hey, this student was an excellent leader. They always got their things in on time. This is the stuff that we've worked on. I highly recommend them for graduate school. And I also think they would be a wonderful graduate assistant, and here's why. So again, if you're possibly thinking about being a GA, you might want to let your recommender know that as well, just as a way to kind of get that into the application and have that department read that. So for the letters of recommendation, now they have to come directly from the recommender themselves. We cannot take them from the student. So in your application, what you'll do is there will be a recommender section. And once you click on that section, you'll have to write the first name, last name, email, and phone number of your recommender. It is then going to ask you, do you wish to waive your right to examine the recommendation? So what this means is that if you decide to say, yes, I waive my right, this means that if you ever wanted to view what they, the letter that they sent over to us, unfortunately, we cannot send it to you because you are waiving your right to view that letter. If you say, no, I do not want to waive my right, and then you do want to see the letter at a later date, you can always just email us, let us know, and then we'll go ahead and send you a copy of that recommendation letter. Now, this is completely up to you if you want to waive it or not. I usually tell students, look, if you're okay, you know who your recommender is, you know they're going to write an awesome letter for you. I would just go ahead and say, yes, go ahead and waive your right to view the letter. It just shows the committee that you trust your recommender and you know everything will be fine. So I also want to mention that we do have many events virtually and in person that you are more than welcome to join us at. We have the Grad School 201 that will go over a few more things that you may be required for on your application. We also have fairs and tabling events to definitely just keep a lookout for. But the other ones I would say to definitely look at is our department-specific events. So there's a lot of departments, hospitality, communications, social work. They will actually have their own virtual sessions. And that's a great opportunity for you to hop on, speak to a representative from that program and know exactly about their program. What are they looking for when you apply? They'll go over the experience that students have within their program. And again, it's a representative from that department for that program. So you're gonna know exactly what they are wanting from you. And then of course, stay connected with us. If you do have any questions at all going through the application, maybe you wanna know what is the specific deadline or who is the graduate coordinator for your program, feel free to contact us. We're available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You can contact us via email, phone number. We'd be happy to set up any kind of appointment with you through Zoom, phone call, whatever works best. But definitely stay connected, reach out, and ask us any questions you may have. And I'll pass it back to Joshua.
Thank you so much for your time. Are there any questions that any of you may have? Well, I can ask one to get us started on some questions since we still have some time slotted. So do you recommend building some professional experience before applying to graduate school, or are there more benefits to jumping right into graduate school after completing undergrad?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like it can go either way. Some students, they like to kind of take, what is that, like the gap year, gap semester, and go get that that experience first and then go into grad school. There's not too many programs unless you're going for more of like an accelerated or an executive route that will really require that experience. But I think it's more preference of the student. I know for me, I just was not able to do a gap year. I felt like I had to keep going. Otherwise, I just would probably never go back. And you kind of feel that. You're just like, if I don't go now, I'm just never going to do it. So I just got to just go and just jump right in. But then there's students who say, oh, I wish I would have waited and got more experience. So it is kind of the preference of the student. But what I would look for is look at the program you're interested in. And even if you are thinking about taking a gap year, see if it's even required for your program. Maybe talk to the department first, see what they recommend. Because you don't want to wait too long either, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to wait a whole year or 2 years, and then I feel like it's just going to slowly could potentially keep getting pushed back. So I would say around this time is a good time to start contacting those departments for the program of your interest and really seeing what they say. What is the best option? Talking to other students that are maybe in that program, seeing what did they do? What worked best? Did it help them to go right into the program, or did it help them to kind of take that little gap semester or gap year? But it really just depends, again, on the department, on the program you want to go for, and also the students themselves.
Thank you. We have a question in the chat. I know that undergraduates can take master's level classes. Is there a limit to how many credits that can be transferred?
Yeah, good question. So and I hate to say this again, but it's going to be up to the department. But typically, we usually say I like to say like no more than 15 credits could really transfer over, but it really is at the discretion of the department, what they approve. We've had students that are even considered grad non-degree students, and I always tell them don't take too many classes as a non-degree student, because only no more than 15 or no more than 1/3 of the program can actually transfer into the degree at a later time. So I would definitely reach out to the department just to confirm, hey, how many classes can I actually take as an undergrad student? How much will you actually accept that can go into the program? And what classes can you take as an undergrad student that will transfer into the program? Because not all graduate level courses can be taken as a non-degree or possibly as an undergrad. There are some specific courses that you have to have departmental approval. You may have to already be accepted into the program in order to take it. So it's good to stay in contact with the coordinator for those specific questions.
We have another one. Would mentioning why you have a W on a transcript while writing your personal statement be appropriate to mention?
So you want to, just to clarify, so you would say like why you have a withdrawal on your transcript?
Sure.
I think. You could, I would probably contact the coordinator. Does it say what program they're looking at going into for that one? Or is it just?
This was a anonymous question, so.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we can
No
come back
worries.
to it. We can come back to it if they want to elaborate. So let's see. Oh, here's a good one. Can I use the same professional statements for every clinical psych program?
Oh, for the W
Yes, for the W.
one, got it. That program is very competitive. I will say that. I would definitely reach out to the coordinator just to confirm, see if that's even something that they would want you to put on there. Um, you know, you could kind of just mention if you feel like your GPA is a little bit low and maybe you want to just kind of talk about what happened while you were in school. Maybe there was family, life happens, and we get it. So if you maybe wanted to touch on that, I don't know if you would need to say too much about the W specifically, but just be like, hey, here's the kind of student I am. And just really going on it that way instead. They're already going to see that there's a withdraw. But just mentioning, how were you a student as an undergrad? In the beginning, maybe it was just you were still getting your feet wet, trying to understand your place. Maybe you're a first generation student and you really had to kind of figure out the path of higher education. So just talking about your experience overall. But I don't think you would necessarily have to highlight the W itself. But if anything, again, always contact the coordinator.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so can I use the same personal statement for every program that I'm applying to?
I mean, you could, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, depending on the program you want to go for, each department may ask something very specific on what they want. And you would probably want to change it up a little bit because how you would write a personal statement for, let's say, the MBA may be very different on if you were also applying for social work, or if you were going for counseling. So, talking about those goals, how is that specific program going to help you in your career goals and your journey? So you definitely want to switch it up for that specific program that you are applying for. So plus you don't want the department to open up the letter if it is social work and then all of a sudden you're talking about here's why I'm interested in the MBA. So make sure you do switch it up to for the specific program that you are applying for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what if I want to apply for a graduate program, but I don't meet all of the requirements for that particular program? Do you think I should still apply?
Yeah. So usually when I get this question, it's because students don't feel like they meet the GPA requirements. I would say definitely don't feel discouraged if it is a GPA, if you are concerned about your GPA. So the way it would work is, let's say you fall below that 2.75 overall GPA and your last 60 is also below the 3.0. When we review your application, we would say that you don't meet our minimum requirements, but your application is still going to be sent to the department where they will review everything else. So they're going to review your test scores, your letters of recommendation, any other requirement that is needed for your program. Now, if they still want to go ahead and accept you into the program, they can do so provisionally. What provisionally means is that no, you did not meet the GPA requirement, but you did really well on, some other area of your application that the department still wants you. So for the provisional admissions, the department will say, okay, you're admitted, but you have to take 3 graduate level courses. The graduate level courses will already be part of the program, so it won't be anything additional, that you would have to take. And for those 3 courses, you have to complete them in 1 year and you have to get a B or a better in those classes. That way it's showing the department that yes, this student is capable of doing grad work. So I would say if it is a GPA concern, don't let that discourage you. Still go ahead and apply. If you're really concerned about it though, go ahead and make an appointment with the graduate coordinator. They are the ones to make the admissions decision on the applications. And can let you know exactly what they are looking at and looking for when you do apply.
Thank you. We have another question in the chat. So how long in advance can you apply? Does it have to be the same year you are graduating?
Yeah, so I usually say to start looking, now you could probably look a year in advance, start looking at the degrees, right? Start taking a peek at what is the grad program I want to apply for, start talking to those mentors, talking to your supervisors, trying to figure out what is the actual program that you do want to apply for. Then usually the semester before you're about to graduate is really then when you really want to start narrowing it down, because in that semester, when you're the semester before you graduate, you may need to start applying for grad school that semester. So if let's say this is your last semester this spring, and then you want to start grad school in the fall, depending on what program you're going for, you may need to start doing your application right now. And again, that's okay. Even if you haven't officially completed your degree, you can still be considered for grad school, still be admitted. You'll just more than likely be admitted conditionally. And that just shows, hey, based off what the student has right now, we'll go ahead and accept them. But by a specific date, we need to see that their degree was confirmed. So for example, if you are finishing your degree this spring, want to start grad school in the fall, we would have to see that your degree is confirmed by September 15th. So that gives you a long time to actually have that degree confirmed still. So, but yeah, so I would say start looking at least a year in advance, but really start knowing that you may have to apply that semester before you graduate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I applied on October 1st, around what time do graduate school admission statuses go out?
Let's see. So you applied for the program on, what was it? Sorry, April.
October 1st.
Oh, October 1st. Okay. Yeah, we had October 1st deadlines. We even have another deadline coming up tomorrow. So a lot of our deadlines are coming up. So after you submit your application, as long as you've submitted everything that was required, I usually say give it about a week or two for the initial review to be completed. The initial review is done by the graduate admissions team, where they'll look at your transcripts, review them, make sure that you meet the GPA requirements. So could be a week and a half, give or take. After that, it is sent to the department. Now, once it's with the department, I usually say wait another maybe 5 weeks, give or take. It really depends on the department. Some departments are very, very quick with their review. Others, it might take a little bit more, again, making sure that they have everything that they need to complete their review. Or if there's any kind of interview process, that might take a little bit. If you're going for, let's say, performance and you have to do some kind of audition, that might take a little bit. So just, you'll have to consider the program you're going for as well, and know that it might take a little bit for the department side. However, you can always check on the status of your application in your Grad Rebel Gateway. Once you click on the admissions tab, it will tell you on the right-hand side if your application is under grad review, if it's under department review. And once a final decision is made, it will be found in there as well. You can also always contact our team or your graduate coordinator to see if you can maybe get a status of your application. But do give it a little bit of time. It may just still be going through its process.
Thank you. Yes. All right. So this is a question that I get a lot in the graduate college. So what if I submit my application and notice that I made an error? Am I able to change it? Who should I reach out to?
Yeah, really good question. We get that a lot too. It happens. There are students that even are just, they clicked too quick and uploaded the wrong documents, or maybe they uploaded duplicates of the documents. So, unfortunately, with the Grad Rebel Gateway, once you do upload your document, Does not let you make any changes to it. There's not an option to delete the documents. However, if you notice something is not right, if you uploaded the wrong document, whatever the case may be, we know it happens. Just reach out to our office, let us know, and then we'll go ahead and get rid of those for you. Same thing with letters of recommendation. Let's say you add some recommenders and you're like, this person is not responding, they're not uploading their letter, or maybe you want to add a new one or change up your letters of recommenders. Just contact us, let us know, and again, we can make those changes for you on the back end.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so, and of course, if anybody still has more questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, or you can also privately message me if you'd like them to stay anonymous. But so why do graduate school applicants ask what other schools you are applying to? Will I be hindered, or will being honest hinder my chances at getting into a competitive program?
Yeah, so when you apply, we do have to see a copy of your transcript from each post-secondary institution you attended. The reason we need to see that, and there are students that will say, hey, but this has nothing to do with the grad degree I want to go for, or I took only 3 classes at that institution. It's still part of your academic record, and so we want to see everything. Plus, it gives us a really more idea of what your GPA is. So for example, if you received an associate's before your bachelor's degree, or you took some classes maybe at a community college or another institution, and then you had those transferred over into UNLV for your bachelor's degree, we want to make sure that those are all included. Maybe you received, you took 3 classes at CSN and got all of A's. So we want to make sure that is included in your cumulative GPA. We want everything together. Also, it could potentially help too if we have to look at the last 60 credits. So if you do, maybe you started taking master's level work, or maybe, post-grad work after your bachelor's degree. That helps students who maybe didn't do too well on their bachelor's. And then when we look at the last 60, we can start with that post-grad work, go up from there, and then that might help them to reach that 3.0 GPA. It also shows the departments, hey, you know what, they didn't do great in this, but they did really well over here. I can see they did this class. So it, again, just gives the departments a full picture of what's going on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what if I'm applying to a school and they ask me what other schools I'm applying to?
Yeah. Okay. So just like other schools,
Yeah.
that's okay. We know that you might look elsewhere and not just UNLV for grad school. I haven't really heard of for UNLV specifically, asking if you're applying to other institutions. But again, that's okay. If you do apply to other institutions, that's not going to hurt your chance at grad school with UNLV. There's even sometimes where we know that we just don't have the exact degree that students are looking for. Or if their career choice is just so specific that they might have to go to one of those other institutions. We completely understand that. So that will not hinder your application at all with grad school at UNLV.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions? We have about 10 minutes left. All right, so in your opinion, which component regarding personal statements, letters of recommendation, transcript, test scores of the application do you think holds the most weight?
That's a good question. Okay, if I was saying that you were applying for social work, I would definitely say letters of recommendation. They look very strongly on those. I mean, they're going to look at everything holistically, but I know with that specific program, they do look very heavily on those letters of recommendation. For really a majority of the other programs, it's that statement of intent. They do really just want to see, again, it's your way to communicate to them. So you really want to take your time on that statement of intent. Transcripts, it's kind of a hit or miss. I mean, they do, of course, we do require that you have that bachelor's degree. They do want to see the GPA. For grad admissions with the transcripts, we do look at the 2.75, but look at your program too, because some of the programs may want to see a little bit higher GPA. Some will want to see that you've had at least a 3.0 from your undergrad. So just be careful, make sure that you're looking at what specifically, again, is the department looking for. But the nice thing is that everything is going to be taken into consideration. If you're going for the professional schools, I would always reach out to them. Their application process is different than ours. It is very separate. So if you are looking at med school, dental, law school, make sure you're contacting them directly, because they will let you know specifically what they're looking at, and what their application process will be.
Thank you. All right. Well, if any of y'all have any more questions, I'll let you go ahead and type it. This will be the last question I ask. So how could I better familiarize myself with the faculty of the graduate programs that I'm interested in? And do you think I should be reaching out to faculty members whose research interests me during the application process?
Yeah, no, definitely. So first of all, the coordinators are there to help you. You do not have to be a student yet. You don't have to, already have your application submitted. Definitely contact the coordinators. That's what they are there for. They are happy to help you and go over the process with you if you do have any specific questions. There are some programs, like you mentioned, that may require you to already have like an advisor, or who do you want to do the research with. And on the website, and again, if you cannot find these things, just reach out to us, we'll help you. But it will usually list all of the faculty members and what kind of research they are doing, to see if that does kind of align with the research you're looking at doing. But definitely reach out. Also, it helps because now, as mentioned, the department is the one to make that admissions decision. So this is now giving you another chance to talk to them before you apply. And then when you do submit your application, putting that, name to a face, and they can say, oh, I remember meeting with that student. And now they just know who you are, making that other connection with them already. So it is good to definitely do to outreach to them.
Thank you. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I guess we can go ahead and wrap up. But before we end today's session, we would like to thank our presenter for sharing their time and expertise with us today. And thank you to all of our participants for joining us today. But before you log off, please take a few moments to fill out this workshop feedback survey that I just dropped into the chat. It really helps us just improve future workshops and get a good idea of what else we might need a program. All right, well, I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, and we will see y'all next time.